Hi everybody, this is Lainey with Camp Joy Farms. Well, we had a bad storm this afternoon. We've had a need for rain lately, and we had a pretty good little shower or two in the days prior. But this afternoon we had one of those kind that was just like an electrical storm that just, I don't know, it turned into almost a straight line wind. Well, it pretty much did turn into a straight line wind event because I have a 10-foot deep back porch. It's about 40 feet long, and the rain was blowing the length of the 40 feet. Our dogs got soaked and covered with water, and it lasted a good while. It lasted probably 10 or 15 minutes of good heavy wind to where I was wondering if we were fixing to have a tornado or something. And we let that pass, and I'm getting back out here. Of course, now it's sun shining and looking beautiful like it always does right after bad weather. And I'm coming out into my gardens, and I'm a little bit upset. It's a little bit bad. I'm glad I took pictures the other day. I'm glad I showed you some videos of it looking good, because now I'm in trouble. And let me walk you around, and you're gonna see some of this as I'm seeing it, because I just walked out here. I was staking up my Cherokee purple tomatoes, some of which had been, even though they were clamped onto bamboo poles and they were clamped onto some string, some of them still were laying on the ground. So I had to pick them back up, reset post, reclamp and everything. But then I turned around, and this is what I saw. These are my ideal market pole beans that I just picked this afternoon. I don't know how all of my Horta Nova netting is done with these zip ties. One zip tie's gone there. That's what happened. It just ripped the zip ties down, or ripped off of the zip ties somehow. And there are my pole beans. I'll stand it all back up and it'll be okay, but it's going to be a little bit of a job. They're sopping wet right now. I'm just very thankful that I picked them this morning. So I have some pole beans right down here, right there, that are sagging pretty good, but they held up. So I think they were sagging kind of anyway, because they're getting, I'm sorry, I'm looking at everything. I forgot where I put my camera. I think they were sagging a little bit anyway with the weight of the beans, so that's okay. But my squash, some of it got blown everywhere. Some of my plants are completely sideways. That plant's completely almost coming out of the ground. But I'm not worried about the squash. It'll be okay. I'm walking over here right now. Here's my Marglobe tomatoes. Oh, bless their heart. One of them is just laid over here. I'm just going to try to stand it up, and I'll come back to it in a minute. The rest of them look like they held up pretty good. I got a tomato there turning red. What I'm seeing from where I'm standing, though, is devastating to me. I'm in the upper garden, and I'm just looking at the things laid over. Okay, that's fine. I've got tomatoes back there I need to go check, because I could kind of see they're blown around. This corn looks fine. So when I first walked up here, I thought, well, it's just a tomato issue. Then I looked out into my lower garden, and there's my stand of corn. It is tore up. It is tore up. I've got 4 rows of corn, and from what I'm looking at here, I can really only see 2 rows. I'm fixing to walk down there and look at it, but it is tore up. Let's walk and let's see what else we can find. My Mexico midgets took a little hit. It looks like my red rubber bucket, which was actually down by my lower garden, it blew all the way up here to the upper garden and slammed into these tomatoes. And I've got Mexico midget tomatoes that have been knocked all out in the aisle here. They're just kind of laid out in the aisle. Looks like the tomatoes hung on the vine pretty good, but looks like some of the vines down there at the bottom, well, that one there, right there, that snapped. sometimes I've noticed with tomatoes, you can kind of stand them back up, just kind of lean that branch on the other branch and stake it, and it'll kind of grow back together sometimes. So I'm just not gonna cry about it. It'll be okay. These cucumbers took some wind, but that's all right. They'll straighten back up. Oh my goodness. My Claude Brown Yellow Giant tomato is laying on the ground. It is just laying on the ground here. It got blown over. Just blew the clip right off with a stake. And the one next to it is also laying on the ground. Both of my plants got blown over. Excuse me just a minute while I stake these back up. I just can't walk away and leave them like this. Well, y'all, I'm down here in the lower garden, and here's my corn. Here is my corn. Well, sorry, I'm just kind of speechless right at this moment. I know that corn can stand back up when the sun comes out. I know that I can get in here and try to push some of it back up. One thing I always try to find something to be grateful for. Excuse me if I'm kind of bouncy with my camera. I'm looking at my feet to make sure I don't stand in mud or slip in mud. One thing I'm looking at that I'm kind of thankful for is I'm not seeing too many of the corn roots pulled out of the ground. In other words, they didn't completely dislodge. This is just a big old mess. This is a big old mess. It's a big old mess. But I'm not seeing a lot of the roots completely out of the ground. So that tells me that, number one, it'll be a little bit easier if I have to help push some of it back up. But number two, maybe if we have a couple of days of pure sunshine, that'll help. And if I don't do anything while we're having those couple of days of sunshine, it's not like the plants are sitting there with their roots out of the ground dying or anything. That part there is terrible. That's terrible. But anyway, in other words, their little toes, their little roots are still in the ground. And so they won't be dying even if they're kind of laid over, is my thinking. I did not grow up on a corn farm. I'm not an expert in this. I'm just, this is my third year, my fourth time to grow corn. I'm learning more and more every day, but I'm learning mostly about growing. I'm not necessarily learning about what to do if a storm takes it out. But you can kind of see the roots there, and there's still a lot of the root in the dirt. And believe it or not, as bad as this looks, sunshine can stand corn back up. Miracle of God. I haven't looked at the weather though, and so I don't know if I'm having sunshine the next few days, but I'm going to check it, and we're just going to move forward. I'm also eternally grateful that our ability to eat and all is not counting on this corn right now. I was counting on it for sales, and I feel like we'll still be able to pull that out, even if I'm out here working real hard to push it back up. There's another thing I can be thankful for, and that is that across the lake over there, I have a dirt pile. So if I need to, I could get my tractor and haul a few, pretty good many buckets full of that clay dirt over here if I need to reinforce these. I'm gonna let a little time go by. I'm gonna let the weather tomorrow, hopefully we have some sunshine at least maybe half, 3/4 of the day. Let it come out, kind of start seeing what happens. But then I might haul some of that dirt over here and just with my shovel, just by hard work with a wheelbarrow or whatever, put some dirt against the base of it and hopefully stand it back up so I can save my corn. The John Hawk corn up there, I had just put extra dirt at the base of it the other day. I just went around to each one of them putting dirt on it because they had dislodged and kind of started falling over after one of the storms. And they held up fine today. They're all doing good up there. Of course, I have put some stakes and tied off some of them to the stakes, so that helped a lot. But this candy corn took a beating today. And I have not even walked over to Richard's garden to look at the Mosby prolific corn. That's next. We'll see what happens. I'm walking across the beach and I'm coming up on Richard's garden across the beach. And this corn looks like it is standing up. It's weird how one part of your property can get some type of wind damage and the other part seems okay. So right now I'm pretty happy. Let's go around the front and kind of look. Well, not completely okay. Got a few of them down. I can see roots on that one, so I need to get that standing back up. Got a few in there. Got a few leaning pretty good back here, but all in all, these tall ones are still standing. All those on that row are still standing. Okay. Some of these are like tilting, but they're still standing. I'll take it. I tell you right now, I'll take it. What I'm worried about mostly over here though is my Atkinson tomatoes. I put a lot of sticks around them lately. They are loaded with tomatoes. Sunday when we were over here, some friends of mine and me, we added some sticks around some of them. So hopefully they did okay. That one's good, that one's good. That one had died already. The other, oh, here we go. This one here, bent sideways, stick blown over and everything. Okay, gotta get, oh goodness. That one's on the ground, just loaded with tomatoes on the ground. If I ever say potatoes instead of tomatoes, just please excuse me. I'm always doing that for some reason. Oh goodness. This one on the ground, tomatoes laying on the ground, tomatoes on the ground. Oh goodness. That's my pretty bush. The ones that look like apples that are about ready. They're bent over. This one did good. This one bent a little bit, but it's all right. They're not laying on the ground. This one's okay. That one bent pretty good, but it's got the post and the string, and they didn't fall over. Looks like one of my Cuban bushes got knocked over, but I think it'll be all right. A couple of my Cuban bushes look like they got knocked backwards, but they'll be okay. The beans look fine. Some of them right over there I can see are laid over, but that's okay. Well, there's more than I thought. There's a bunch of them laid over, but that's okay. We've already picked a lot of these beans. I'm not going to sweat that. And you just can't really mess up watermelons and stuff. That lays on the ground anyway, so it doesn't matter. Looks like my zucchinis took some wind, but there again, as long as they don't dislodge out of the ground, they'll stand back up in the sun. So the zucchinis don't look great, but they'll come back. They'll be okay. All right, so that's gardening. That's the way it is. Things happen. When it was coming through, I was praying for my tomatoes, and I didn't lose any. Just some are laying on the ground, and I need to get them up. I had planned on doing some harvesting this evening and making some baskets to sell tomorrow of squash and cucumbers and cherry tomatoes. But I guess I'll plan on picking that tomorrow, and tonight I'm just gonna try to save some of these tomato plants and stand them back up. And then also tomorrow I got to deal with my pole beans that fell over and just start making a plan of action with the corn. But that's gardening, and that's weather, and that's South Louisiana. So this is Lainey from Camp Joy Farms. Thanks for joining me for this quick video, and I hope your weather's doing good. And bye-bye.